Hello there and welcome to Norton Live Streams. This is the second live stream of 2023 and we have a whole series of live streams coming up throughout the rest of the year. So please tune in with us every month to catch those. If you've missed any of the previous live streams that we've done before, you can catch them all on our YouTube channel. So please have a look for those. Lots of interesting content on there. Okay, so before we start, I just want to explain a functionality of Microsoft Teams called closed captions. So if you're watching in another country and you want this to be subtitled in a different language than English, you can click on your closed captions button. The instructions and how to do that are on the screen right now. So if you follow those and select your preferred language to get the subtitles in, please do that. Okay, so let's have a look at today's agenda. That is coming up now on the screen. Okay, here we go. Today's agenda is everything you need to know about non-woven hand pads. So that's the focus of the next 30 minutes. First of all, we're going to introduce you to your experts we've got online today. And then we'll have a look at what is a non-woven abrasive, because that's what hand pads are. They're part of the non-woven family, which will then have a look at all the other products in the non-woven families and where the Beartex hand pads fit in to this. We'll then look at the whole range of hand pads we have here at Norton, of which there are a lot of different products. We'll have a look at the typical applications, and then we'll get onto the practical side of this. So we'll show you how and where they're used. And at the very end, for those who are joining us live on Microsoft Teams, we'll have a live questions and answers session. So if you are joining us live, please stick around for the live Q&A at the end of the session. Okay, so first of all, let's introduce you to the experts that are on the panel today. First of all, this is me. I'm Paul Gray. I live in Cheshire in the middle of England. I'm an application engineer for MRO for the whole of Europe, EMEA. 30 years in manufacturing and 18 years of that in abrasive. So quite a bit of experience in abrasives and a background in engineering. Joining us today, which is always very nice to have a guest star appearing on here, is my esteemed colleague, Robin Cook. Robin, are you there?
I am, Paul. Thank you, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Robin. If you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be marvellous.
Hi, everyone. I'm Robin Cook. I've been with St. Gawain Abrasives for a long time now, over 32 years of experience now, and I've been working a lot on the non-woven abrasive range, which we're going to talk about today.
Marvelous. Okay, so before we start, then, Robin, we're going to get a bit of a PowerPoint as we alluded to in the agenda, just to set the scene about hand pads and where they sit. You know, how are they made? How are they sit in our family? So, if you'd like to take us through a couple of slides, not too long, and then we'll get on to the practical at the end. Okay.
Sure, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone. So, on this slide, we're just explaining here what are non-woven abrasives. So it's very simple. We just take synthetic nylon fibers, we add abrasive grain to those fibers, and we anchor those abrasive grains using a resin system there, which ends up giving us a very exceptional three-dimensional product, which can be used for very soft and gentle finishing applications. So these products deliver a great finish. Within our portfolio of abrasives, these come at the end of the abrasive processes where customers are looking to try and clean, blend, deburr, or finish.
And I think it's important to point out as well, Robin, due to the structure of this as well, it's very conformable as well. So if they're wanting to do all of these things without actually damaging the substrate material, these hand pads are absolutely ideal for that, because they adapt to the way your hand is shaped and the shape of the component as well. So not to put any deep scratches into the component you're trying to finish.
Absolutely, Paul, and you're going to show some of that flexibility in the applications, which
Exactly
we're all going to look forward to. So these products can be used everywhere. We see a wide list of applications on the screen right now, but everywhere from the house to high-tech industries, these products can be used, and they deliver the type of finish that you can see on the bottom right corner there. But not only can they be used on metals, but they can be used on woods, plastics, glass, fiberglass, everything. And if we take it to the next slide, please, Martin. Thank you. So here you can see the range of families that we have. There are 5 main families in the non-woven category. And we're going to look at the one on the extreme right, which is the Vertex hand pads. So lots of the other products we've focused on some of the other live streams before, working on angle grinders or portable tools, or even the convolute wheels that we showed very recently, working on a pedestal grinder. But now we're going to focus mainly on manual applications, where you need to use a product by hand, like a piece of sandpaper would do, but we're going to show you the benefits of these non-woven hand pads over the likes of sandpaper and other paper or cloth sheets. Next slide, please, Martin. And this is the range of hand pads that we have in the Norton category today. And you can see there's quite a wide range of hand pads there. We have different grades to suit different applications, and there's different grain types that we use. I'm not going to talk all the way through these, but if you just look at the images on the right-hand side, you can see in there that it boils down to those 3 main applications. So we're removing something like paint or rust, or we're finishing, or we're cleaning. And we're even going to show you the fact that these products are excellent on giving you cleaning conditions all around, not only the factory, but all around the home and the garden as well.
And I think it's good to say here, Robin, the colours are quite industry standard as well, aren't they? You know, the very fine is always a maroon colour, the general purpose is always green, the silicon carbides are always a grey or a black, so it's quite easy to identify a product by its colour, right?
Absolutely, Paul. And we'll talk a little bit about this in the next few minutes as well, on the different colours and the different grades.
Right. Okay.
And I think on the last slide here, yep, thank you, Martin, and just a range of some of the applications. So here within those photographs, you can see some of that flexibility that Paul was referring to earlier, and we're going to show some of that. But just to highlight again, these pads can be they're extremely flexible. We can wash them and reuse. They'll last much longer than the standard sandpaper, and the big benefit of these is that they're not going to damage or gouge your component or workpiece when you start using them. So they're not designed there to change the size or the geometry of the component. They're there just to put a nice surface finish on there, or blend or clean.
Exactly. Okay, thank you very much for that, Robin. So I think Robin was alluding to there that before we had hand pads available, that the products that we would use for the typical applications we were showing on that previous slide is, as he said, sandpaper or even wire wool. And these products are great for a lot of different applications. But where hand pads excel versus products like this, as Robin said, is they're not going to damage. They're not hard like the sandpaper is here. And also, due to the nature of the way these products are made, the type of finish that you get from the start when you use these products will be the same as what you get through the end of when you're using these products. Sandpaper changes as it gets used; it gets blunt, so the finish you get changes throughout the life of the paper. But with hand pads, you get the same finish at the very start of when you're using it to when it's at its end of life, so that it's nice and consistent. And that's a really important point for these products. Yeah, so sheets, paper and wire wool, still obviously very useful in the market, but hand pads are the high-tech version of these items. So I think before we start, I'd just like to cover a point about hand pads. We see a lot of different companies producing hand pads out there on the market. There's a lot of availability on there, but not all hand pads are equal. And you can do a simple test yourself to see why this is. And the first one I'd like to show you is when we actually peel a hand pad apart here. So I take my fingers and thumbs, and I actually open the hand pad up in the middle here, so I can actually expose the fibers in the center of the pad. If you can see here on the camera, I have our very fine A maroon pad here, but I also have a cheaper hand pad that you can find in the market, and I've done the same again here. I've opened it up so I can get to the fibers inside. And the reason I'm doing that is to show the two different ways that companies manufacture these products and how we actually get the abrasives and resin inside here. A lot of companies just spray a mixture of abrasive and resin over the material once it's manufactured. But we do two things. We do the spray, just as I've said before, but we also do a dip. So we dip the product inside a slurry of abrasive and resin to make sure we've got maximum penetration of the grain inside the material, not just on the surface. That makes the material, as it wears down, obviously last a lot longer because there's abrasive inside as well as just the top and the bottom surface on that. And you could test that really easily by using an old coin such as this here, and we can actually put that inside the hand pad material and rub it with the inside of the pad. And you see with our pad we can clean that coin very, very easily. You can see there we've already started to get a nice clean part on it. But when we use one of the cheaper hand pads and turn the coin around, we don't actually have any grain inside. It's just on the top and bottom. So when I do this action, it's hardly touched it at all. So you can see where we've cleaned here versus the competition. It's not cleaned very well at all. So they don't have a great deal of grain inside the hand pad. Another way to check the quality of the hand pad and give you an idea of how long the hand pad is going to last is do a test on a sharp edge, such as this bit of steel we've got in the vise here. If we fold the pad in half, and we just rub that over the edge. If we do that 10 times for each pad, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we can have a look at the surface of the pad and how that looks. If we just go back to that camera, please, Martin. We've moved a bit of the fiber on there. Okay, but it's still very well intact on that hard application over an edge where it's almost deburring, if you like. But when we use a slightly inferior pad, we can do the same again. We do 10 rubs on here.
So this is coming back to that consistency part again, Paul, yeah?
Exactly. Well, it's the way the pads are manufactured, the raw material that we make the pads off are manufactured. So this is the Norton pad. You can see a little bit of damage on the surface there, but you see the cheaper pad we see here, we've really pulled these fibers around. So this gives you an idea of how long these pads are going to last. If you start having the fibers falling off like this, you can see you're going to wear this pad away a lot quicker than you are with a quality pad which we produce. That's all to do with the way these pads are manufactured and what we call the needling process, when we actually needle these fibers together. They're not woven together, they're actually needled together. And how well that process is done basically means how long that pad's going to last. So, like I say, not every pad is equal. Okay, so we're going to concentrate on four main pads today, the most popular pads in the market. We're going to concentrate on a heavy-duty pad. We're going to have a look at the very fine pad here in maroon. We're then going to go on to this grey pad, which is an ultrafine silicon carbide. And after that, we're going to have a look at something a bit unique, which is our white non-abrasive pad. So we're going to have a look at where we use all of these types of material. But I think, first of all, we'll start off with the most aggressive pad in our application, which is our brown heavy-duty pad. Robin, you'd like to tell us a little bit about this pad?
Sure, Paul. So we're starting there with what we would call the brown heavy duty pad. It's got a medium grit in it, just for those of you who want to refer back to that chart that we showed earlier on. And this pad is ideal for the more aggressive applications. As Paul showed in terms of the structure integrity with that rub test, and well done, Paul, in doing that and showing the insides of the pad. Not very easy to do with a pair of gloves on.
Yeah, it's really difficult, yeah.
So with this brown heavy-duty pads, we have more aggression. It carries an even stronger structure than the maroon pad that Paul's.
You can feel that when you have the pads as well. The fibers are a different size. The denier, the fiber inside here, and the amount of resin here is a much stiffer, more robust feeling pad than the other ones. And that's because, as you say, Robin, it's for more aggressive application. So it needs to be able to withstand. And also, if we have a soft structure, it's not going to push the abrasive grain into the material very well. So we need it to be harder with a coarser grain. It's quite as simple as that, really. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yeah. Robin, what we're going to do then, we're going to have a look at sanding down this bit of stainless steel here. So this is like a welded piece of balustrade or fencing, and you can see we've got some weld burn at the end here. But we've also got lots of scratches on the surface here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out a lot of these scratches and damage and give it a nice uniform linear scratch on the surface, all with using this single hand pad here, the heavy duty. Let's get that in the vise. Okay, so what I'm going to do, always easier to use a hand pad when you fold it in half like this. It makes it much easier to grip when you're using the pad, and start to apply this onto the surface. Right, so we'll give this a quick sand and see how it looks. Okay.
As Paul mentioned there, there's a big benefit in this pad in terms of its resistance to tearing. So some of those tough tasks that you're going to want to do with hand pads are easily achieved by this product, the brown heavy duty product. Again, in a medium aluminum oxide grain type.
Yeah, I think you can see there we've got a really nice finish already, but there's a little part in the bottom here which is a little bit more difficult to get to. But again, we can simply fold the pad over and push the pad into this corner just to take the burn off that little weld there. All right.
That's a great example of the ability of these pads to go and match the shape or the difficult, awkward access area of the component shape.
Yeah. And there you go. I mean, that's a really quick finish. I mean, if we have a look at what we started with. So we started on the surface like that with a dark weld here and lots of damage from transport and being around the welding shop. And we get this really, really quickly. You can see nice linear scratch, which is perfect for stainless steel applications. Again, just to show less fingerprints or less muck or damage as it's in service. But you see that medium heavy duty pad gives us a really nice finish extremely quickly. And look at that there. That burning from the weld is completely gone. Okay.
Perfect, Paul.
So very quick.
You feel that pad really gripping and biting into the metal, right?
You can. It really is gripping on the surface. Not so much so you can't actually use it like that, but it does. Another thing where hand pads benefit on more aggressive applications like this is when you're using sandpaper, you're pushing on it with your fingers into something like here. So you actually get more pressure into where you're sanding with where your fingers are touching. So you'll actually see that in the surface finish that you get with these two fingers when you're actually trying to sand on there. You'll actually see more aggression on the material. You see almost a witness mark where your hands have been. With hand pads, because they spread the pressure of your hand over the full material surface, you don't see that as much. So in more particular applications like automotive, where they're painting cars, they're absolutely ideal for this, because after you've got a gloss on a car, you will see that damage in the body of a car if you don't use hand pads and use traditional papers. Okay, yes. So, like I say, the really good pad, very aggressive pad to take off material. So, I think we better move on. We've only got a few more minutes to go on the live stream. We've got quite a lot of stuff to get through. So, we'll get on to the next pad now, which is our very fine maroon pad that we have here. And I think, Robin, I'd probably say this is by far the most used pad in the market due to it being really, really versatile, right?
Yeah, this is the workhorse product, so Paul. It's a general purpose. It will cover probably most of the applications. So if you need the benefit of a general purpose pad to cover both blending, cleaning, finishing, this is your main starting point.
Yeah, so we say light cleaning and finishing for this one, right, Robin?
Yep, absolutely.
So take this as an example, a bit of copper pipe. I actually pulled this from my plumbing kit the other day, Robin. A bit of pipe I've been saving because I do things like that just in case I might need it in the future. But, it's been in service a long time. You can see the green parts on there from where the flux was melted on here when they put the pipe together. Also a bit of old water damage. But you can see how the copper's gone. Not a very nice colour with age. With a very fine pad, very, very quickly, we can take that finish away to a very nice bright finish again, just like when you bought the copper from the DIY store, from the plumbing centre. So you can see really, really quickly we can clean that copper up. And any of you plumbers out there that do use this copper rather than plastic and push fit these days, you can see what an advantage this would be over the traditional wire wool where you'd use to clean up the end of this copper pipe before you actually do a soldered joint. So again, really quickly to finish that, and you see a lot of applications where people actually have copper pipe on show these days rather than burying them in the wall. And sometimes it doesn't look so nice, but you can see this finish you get from this hand pad is ultra bright and ultra smart. So you can finish anything like that very, very, very quickly. So easy, especially on materials like copper. It's soft, again, comparatively, and we don't want to damage that material by using an abrasive paper. It would dig into it too much, so we need a nice uniform finish on there to make it look good and ensure that it gets a good seal with the soldered joint on there as well. So not only on copper, but even materials such as this, as a carbon steel. So this is a carbon steel pipe as well. Again, with some rust and corrosion on there. If we could just zoom in on that on the camera, please, Martin. We can see there's a load of rust and corrosion on that steel. And again, with a very fine pad, really, really quickly, we can take that off. So we're respecting the round of the pipe. We're not going to distort the shape of that at all, but really easily, with your hand, you're able to clean that rust and scale off that pipe really, really, really quickly. Give it a really nice finish, I think, as well.
Yeah, so one of the great things about this product, you're talking about the finish there, Paul, is the fact that we use finer grits, but a lot more of them. So sometimes in a lot of cases, finish can be sacrificed for an increase in cut rate when using hand pads, but not with this design on this very fine A maroon pad that we have. We use a lot of finer grits, and that allows the distribution of resin and abrasive throughout that design, and allows it to give a much finer finish and not have that sacrifice.
Yeah, and we do have another version of this pad as well, which is called our thin flex material. And the reason we call it thin flex material is because simply it's thinner and it's more flexible. Okay, this is the material here. So you can see the difference in this. It's the same grade material. It's just, again, much thinner and more flexible. So this kind of material, the thin flex, is great for applications that are such as this little bit of copper tube here, where we've got some really difficult to access areas. The original pad is a bit too stiff to get into there, but the thin flex, due for the fact that we can really roll this up into a small ball and it's able to get in there very, very easily to clean up something like this. You wouldn't be able to do this with sandpaper, maybe with wire wool a little bit, but it would take a lot of time to do that. But the thin flex can get in here really, really, really easily. So that's a really nice product we've got in that range. It's available in 3 different grades. We have the very fine, ultra fine, and the gold super fine product. So depending what kind of finish you want from there. And I think you can see the difference you get from just a little rub with that product. This is the one we've done here. Much brighter, much more clean and shiny looking when compared to the original product.
So the thin flex is even more flexible than the normal hand pads, but lasts just as long as those, and it gives an even more consistent scratch pattern. But the main thing that Paul highlighted there is incredible flexibility to get into hard to reach areas.
Yeah. And what I want to show as well is we keep talking about the fact it's able to remove, surfaces such as a painted surface, but also not damage the underlying material. And I think we have a really nice test to show you here, how we're going to take the paint off this soft drinks can without bursting it. Now, this is full, okay? So this does have the fluid inside. So if I do put a hole in here, you what, sorry?
There's an element of danger here.
There is an element of danger, but it's I quite like this drink anyway, so it's no problem. If it does burst, I'll just guzzle it down, no problem at all. But yeah, so if I do pop it, it's going to spray everywhere, especially when I'm shaking it up like this as well. Probably not a good idea, but bear with me. Let's hope it goes well. So yeah, what I'm able to do is I'm able to take all this paint off, but not pierce the can. Again, if I used a sandpaper for something like this, or any other tool but my hand and a hand pad, it wouldn't go so well. So here you go. We can easily take off, I say it's going to fall out of the vise, easily take off that paint really, really quickly by just using that hand pad.
So that's on a soft aluminium, very thin film of aluminium. You're able to do that. Look at that. So again, showing the fact of the product's not too aggressive, but it's just perfect for removing that layer of paint.
Not too aggressive, but aggressive enough to do that. So yeah, you can see really simple. You can get a very nice finish on there as well, to be honest with you. So if you don't like the brand of your energy drink, you can take that away really, really quickly. Okay. So again, it's aggressive, but also very kind acting on the material there. Next product we're going to have a look at is our silicon carbide very fine product. Okay, I mean, we can bring back the steel balustrade we had earlier and give this more of a finish, because this is more for final finishing. Inside here, we've got an ultra-fine silicon carbide grain. On stainless steel, that works really nicely, giving us a much brighter finish than the aluminium oxide grain, which are in all these other products. It'll give a much brighter finish on stainless, so it just pops out a little bit more. Again, really easy to use in exactly the same method. Oh, if I tighten this in the vise properly, it would be helpful. So we just put that in there, and again, rub that down, and that gives us a much brighter finish on stainless than we would get from just the AO pad. So we're just blending all the scratches there, Robin.
That really sharp silicon carbide grain's doing a different job to what the previous very fine maroon color pad did. So nice and sharp and great finish.
Yeah. Again, you know, not everybody's going to need to get to this kind of finish level, but you can see there in just 2 pads, we've got a really nice and bright, fine linear scratch there. Really very nice finish from that. But also, I use this kind of product quite a lot myself when I'm doing DIY. With things like this. This is a stair rod. Okay, so for your staircase going upstairs, these are things that stop everything falling through from the stairs. These are actually turned on a lathe with a wood turning tool. Now, the flat parts are normally okay, but where the actual turning tool has been creating a shape inside this material like we have here, we can see it's a bit rough. Yeah, you could paint that straight away and it would look okay, but you'd still see some of that rough machining mark on that wood if you don't sand it down. And again, sandpaper is going to be really tricky to get inside these areas, but the hand pads are absolutely perfect for that, just to smooth these down before you paint. If you don't do that, like you say, you'll see all of these little witnesses of the machining marks from the wood tool when this was actually shaped on the machine, and it will not look so nice. So you can rub that around there and get a really nice flat finish on the wood, really easy with the silicon carbide. Okay, so you can see all them marks. Go on, Robin.
Again, a great image, Paul, of the ability of the hand pad to be able to match the contour and the shape of the component.
Exactly.
The difficulty to access small, awkward, difficult to reach areas.
Yeah, and you even see on here we've got a knot in the wood there, and you can feel there's a bit of a ridge over on that knot. And again, I take the hand pad on that. It's not changing the shape of the wood. And again, this is only pine. It's a soft wood. So if I did use something more aggressive, there's a possibility I'm going to make a flat spot on here. But if I use this hand pad on there, it's perfect. Now that's really nice and flat, not raised at all. So when we paint that, you won't be able to see the knot inside there. And as Robin said, these are now, these are washable. Okay, so they're totally waterproof. So if you get the pad loading up with some debris from this or a bit of wood on there, we can just knock it out. Okay, so you knock that out, clean the surface back up, and you're ready to go again. So long life product for these kind of of applications.
And these pads are great, Paul, for the grey ultrafine silicon carbide. They're great for between coat sanding. So if you're going to varnish or paint something and you're doing 2 or 3 layers, you can remove any imperfections or brush strokes or even dust that's gathered on the wood there. You can remove those with between coat sanding of these pads.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Even used a great deal in the automotive industry. This would be after you've done the filler on the body of your car after your car's been in an accident. So you've ground back down the material, you've filled it, you've sanded it down to shape, and just as a final blend over the rest of the painted surface and that filler on the body of the car, these hand pads are absolutely perfect, giving you a key for when you paint for that paint to actually adhere onto the bodywork of your car perfectly. So if you think you can paint directly after the finish of that, that gives you an idea of the level of finish that these pads can give you. So really useful item that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the last pad we're going to show today, which is the white cleaning pad. So this is the one here in front of us. A bit different at this pad because it is actually non-abrasive. So there is no abrasive in here. We're just relying on the structure of this pad to do the job for us. So it's quite unique, this pad, but there are quite a few versatile applications where this pad can come into its own. So say, for example, we have a tap here. So this is off a kitchen sink. It's actually my old tap from my old house before we changed to a nicer model.
Paul, your plumbing's still working, Paul.
It's still on, yeah. I wouldn't get away with that. My wife would kill me, I think, if I stripped that out without telling her. But you know, this tap is still perfectly good. It's still working. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know why we really changed it, if I'm honest with you. But you know, that's how things go. But you can see on the surface of the tap, there's a lot of old scale from the water that's been in there. You know, because this was in use for quite some time. A few scratches on there as well, so it doesn't look as nice as it could if I was going to use that again. So really, a lot of people would throw that tap away, but it's perfectly good. It's still perfectly serviceable. It just doesn't look very nice. What you can do with the white cleaning pad, with the help of a bit of cleaning fluid like this, is you can just apply that into the white material here, and you can rub it over. You can, of course, do this with a cloth. You know, with this cleaning fluid, but it takes a long time, and it's nowhere near as quick as it would be with this hand pad. It just accelerates the process a great deal. So you can see down there, we just give it a quick wipe over, and then we'll take our microfiber cloth and give it a quick clean, and you can see, I think, that has come up like a new tap. You see the old finish down here, but the new finish here, it looks brand new. So you've taken out all the scratches, all the damage that had happened to that piece of kit when it was in service for many years in my house, and now it looks like a brand new item. So continue over the rest of that, and save you a fortune buying a new tap like I had to do.
These white non-abrasive pads can be used on glass, ceramics, chrome, plastic, fiberglass.
And like you say, Robin, you're right. I mean, another application is tiling. I do a lot of my own DIY, and tiling is certainly one of the things I do. But one thing I hate doing is cleaning the grout off afterwards. So once I've done the tiling and I've put the grout in the whole wall, you know, you leave it to go off, but then you've got sort of a semi-hard material that's covering the surface of this tile that you need to clean off. The white hand pad is absolutely perfect for this. Again, it's not abrasive. You're not going to put a scratch into the surface of the ceramic. No matter how long you rub it for, it's going to stay good, but it's able just to take off that powdery white grout that's stuck to the surface of the tile without damaging anything, or also without gouging into the grouted edges around. So really good, and that's a very tedious application, which this can speed up a great deal for you. So cleaning glass, bugs off your windscreen, anything like that, really, really good product for doing that.
Scratch-free as well, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to scratch anything with this, which is the ideal thing. So no matter how much you press on, you're not going to damage it. Another one is UPVC. So we've all got, most of us have got UPVC windows these days. So little piece like this, UPVC, if you started to go dull or brown or a bit dark looking because of years of being in service, again, some cleaning fluid, the white hand pad. Take this to your UPVC and it'll look like your windows have been installed the day before. It's really that good. It makes a really nice finish of a product like this. Okay, so I'm aware of time. We've ran over a couple of minutes than we normally do. That's because I like to talk too much, don't I, Robin, I think?
Oh, everything was good, Paul.
Okay. So a little summary of the products we've seen today. So Vertex hand pads, lots and lots of different grades available. So jobs that are, need something aggressive, something coarse. We have a pad here for you with the medium graded heavy duty pad. For blending applications and cleaning, we have our Thin Flex Very Fine A, as you see here, or the standard Very Fine A for that. For finishing applications, we have our grey silicon carbide ultrafine hand pad, and for general cleaning without scratching, we have our white non-abrasive. Lots of other grades available in the portfolio of products we've got, but these are probably the main products we'd like to show you today.
That takes us back to what we said earlier on, Paul. Removal of paint or rust, finishing, and cleaning.
Exactly. All there, Robin. Thank you very much, Mr. Cook, and thank you for your company as well today. It's always much appreciated to have you on the live streams. So for those of you who are watching this live stream live right now, stick around because we'll have the live questions and answers after this. But for those of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, we'll see you again on Norton live streams. Bye-bye.